This is breaking news. Federal agents are on the scene right now. A massive investigative web has just tightened around the upper echelons of a trusted Florida healthcare institution. Armed tactical units from the FBI and DEA, coordinating in a massive pre-dawn multi-jurisdiction operation, have simultaneously raided the fortified corporate headquarters and the luxury private residence of a prominent regional CEO. We are tracking reports that up to 41 high-level individuals, including regional managers and pharmacy contractors, are now in federal custody. The devastating focus of this urgent investigation, a breathtaking corruption expose, a multi-year network allegedly masterminded from the corner office to loot over $1 billion, specifically $1.4 billion, from the Medicare system using the most vulnerable citizens as disposable inventory. According to highly placed sources and newly unsealed court documentation, the sprawling scheme didn't just fabricate financial records, it systematically used the identities of the deceased ghost residents to authorize massive, fraudulent billing and, most alarmingly, to build a shadow pipeline diverting powerful controlled substances, including opioids, out of licensed care facilities. For years, this institution, Vidian Senior Care Solutions, presented a wholesome image of compassionate care across its 11 licensed facilities. But tonight, the federal government alleges that image was a carefully constructed facade, a front designed to mask an engineered criminal enterprise of almost unimaginable scale and cold indifference. As we speak, specialized FBI forensic teams and cyber analysts are inside the Fort Lauderdale headquarters, seizing encrypted servers, laptops, and hard drives, racing to preserve evidence before a sophisticated deletion program, initiated just moments before the raid, can erase the proof. DEA agents are cataloging mountains of controlled substance inventory discovered in an unlicensed warehouse, a crucial link in the alleged trafficking pipeline. This is a story that goes beyond mere fraud. It is about a calculated betrayal of public trust and the ultimate exploitation of the helpless. In the next few minutes, we will expose the two operational architects who engineered the system to never flag itself. We will trace how a lone night shift nurse, working in the stillness of 3:12 a.m., noticed a single detail that did not belong, pulling the thread that would unravel the entire $1.4 billion architecture. You will hear how investigators cross-reference billing IDs against the Social Security Death Index to find hundreds of active accounts, generating millions in monthly revenue. The scale of the money is staggering, but as we will reveal, the scale of the indifference is what will stay with you. This investigation is far from over, but the message from federal authorities today is loud and clear. No corporate corner office, no complex algorithm, and no charitable public image will shield corruption of this magnitude from the light. To understand how a $1.4 billion healthcare fraud network operates undetected for 7 long years, you have to look directly at the central figure sitting at the apex of the pyramid, Douglas Farrell. To the public, the 56-year-old founder and chief executive officer of Vidian Senior Care Solutions was the very picture of healthcare prestige. A former hospital administrator and an influential board member of the Florida Healthcare Association, Farrell was a fixture at high-profile charity galas, frequently quoted in prominent industry publications, championing the cause of compassionate, cutting-edge elder care. His name was emblazoned across 11 state-of-the-art facilities spanning 6 Florida counties, a regional senior care network trusted by thousands of vulnerable families to protect their elderly loved ones. But federal investigators reveal that behind this meticulously crafted public persona lay a calculated, cold reality. Farrell wasn't running a healthcare network. He was operating a highly automated corporate manufacturing plant where the raw material was human identity. The step-by-step mechanism of the scheme was designed with clinical, corporate precision. At its core, the fraud relied on an invisible inventory of what investigators call ghost residents, real individuals whose names, Medicare numbers, and personal details were kept active in Vidian's internal tracking long after they had left the facilities or, in hundreds of cases, long after they had passed away. The financial manipulation worked on a massive scale. While state occupancy records showed Vidian's facilities operating at a normal, legitimate capacity of around 61 residents per month per building, the organization was simultaneously billing Medicare for up to 94 residents per facility, consistently running 18 to 31% above the actual physical bed capacity. The money flow was completely centralized. every single fraudulent billing submission did not originate from low-level caseworkers or local facility managers. Instead, the claims passed directly through Vidian's proprietary in-house billing platform, a specialized piece of software built internally to bypass traditional third-party scrutiny. Federal analysts diving into the data uncovered a single recurring digital signature attached to every single anomalous claim, an internal corporate approval designation reading OSHT, VCC-09. That code belonged exclusively to CEO Douglas Farrell. Over 7 years, Farrell used this exact authorization to push through 6,814 fraudulent Medicare submissions, draining $1.4 billion from the federal government. The stolen funds were then systematically routed away from patient care and cycled through a network of shell companies disguised as annual consulting fees totaling $34 million before vanishing into offshore bank accounts, including discovered trails leading to Grand Cayman. But the financial bleeding was only one half of the operation. The scheme featured a parallel, darker mechanism designed to maximize profitability through pharmaceutical diversion. Across 6 of Vidian's memory care facilities, the automated billing system didn't just generate fake invoices for physical therapy or doctor visits. It actively ordered heavy prescription medications, primarily highly regulated opioids and benzodiazepines, under the names of these ghost residents. Legitimate contracted pharmacies received the orders, filled the prescriptions, and delivered the drugs directly to Vidian facilities. Because the residents listed on the delivery manifests either did not exist or were already dead, the narcotics completely bypassed normal patient dispensing logs. Someone on the inside had built a seamless, subterranean pipeline to siphon these controlled substances out of the facilities and into unlicensed, illicit distribution channels without ever triggering an automatic regulatory audit. To pull off a dual-layered conspiracy of this magnitude required a level of technical expertise that went far beyond basic corporate accounting. Douglas Farrell may have been the public face, the name on the buildings, and the hand that authorized the billing, but he lacked the architectural capability to build a self-concealing fraud machine. For that, he needed a master designer. Enter Sylvia Orant, a 51-year-old technology contractor and owner of Meridian Care Systems LLC. Orant was an elite insider who understood the system because she had spent her career building it. Her resume included 7 years as a pharmaceutical compliance auditor for a major southeastern hospital network, followed by 3 crucial years working directly as a Medicare fraud detection systems consultant for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Orant knew exactly how the government's fraud detection algorithms worked. She knew which billing patterns triggered automatic red flags, which specific submission frequencies stayed safely below detection thresholds, and which exact authorization structures appeared completely legitimate to automated review systems. When she built Vidian's proprietary billing platform, she engineered it with one absolute architectural priority: the system must never flag itself. Under Orant's design, the ghost resident billing was meticulously distributed across all 11 facilities to prevent any single location from showing a suspicious spike in claims. The highly sensitive controlled substance orders were continuously cycled through rotating resident identification numbers to completely blind pharmacy-level pattern detection. Orant was the brilliant architect who weaponized her insider knowledge to shield the multi-billion-dollar scheme from the outside world. Inside the encrypted communication archives later recovered by federal teams, Orant's extreme confidence was on full display. In a single chilling message sent directly to Farrell 3 years into the operation, her philosophy was laid bare. She wrote, "The system does not make mistakes. The system makes decisions. Remember the difference." To the inner circle, she wasn't known by name. She was referred to simply as the consultant. The fortress that Douglas Farrell and Sylvia Orant built did not crack from a complex federal wiretap or a corporate whistleblower in a 3-piece suit. It began to shatter at exactly 3:12 a.m. inside the quiet, dimly lit administrative wing of Suncoast Gardens Memory Care Center in Tampa. According to unsealed court documents, a night shift charge nurse named Patricia Weldon was completing her standard end-of-round documentation when she noticed an active electronic care log for room 114. The system claimed vital signs were recorded at 11 p.m., medications were administered at 11:45 p.m., and a physical therapy session was locked in for 7 a.m. the next morning. But Weldon had walked past room 114 just 20 minutes prior. The room was completely dark. The bed was stripped and neatly made. The nightstand was bare. No photos, no reading glasses, no water cup. It possessed the haunting stillness of a space that had not held a living soul in months. Weldon pulled the physical admission file for the resident listed. Margaret Holloway, age 84. Every piece of paper was immaculately arranged. Physician signatures, Medicare authorizations, next of kin contacts. When the overnight supervisor confirmed that the system showed Holloway had received a full wellness assessment that very afternoon, Weldon knew she was looking at something sinister. Before dawn, she checked 3 more active rooms. 2 were completely empty, yet their digital care logs were actively updating with fresh vital signs. By 6 a.m., Weldon contacted the Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration's fraud line. By noon, the tip hit the FBI's healthcare fraud unit in Miami. What started as a late-night discrepancy report was instantly recognized by federal investigators as the visible edge of a massive, systemic ghost resident network. Federal investigators moved with terrifying speed, building a bulletproof financial and digital trail over the subsequent hours. The next afternoon at 2:17 p.m., FBI forensic accountants quietly began pulling years of Medicare billing records for all 11 Vidian facilities. By 4:44 p.m., analysts executed a massive cross-reference check against the Social Security Death Index. The results were explosive. Across the network, 312 active Medicare accounts belonged to individuals who were confirmed dead. Some had been dead for 4 years, yet Vidian's system was still actively billing the government for their daily care. By 7:52 p.m., cyber analysts traced the architecture of the billing platform directly to Sylvia Orent's tech firm. The digital trap was set. At 9:03 p.m., a federal judge in the Southern District of Florida signed simultaneous search and arrest warrants for 9 separate target locations across Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach counties. At 9:17 p.m., the definitive order went out to field teams. Execute. According to sources close to the operation, tactical teams hit Location 1, Vidian's corporate headquarters in Fort Lauderdale, under cover of darkness. Armed agents flooded the executive floor, breaching the main lobby as night security cooperated immediately. Inside CEO Douglas Farrell's corner office, forensic teams bypassed high security locks, seizing 3 laptops, 2 external hard drives, and a highly confidential printed map of Vidian's complete LLC ownership structure with handwritten margin notes detailing offshore flows. But the most damning evidence was recovered from a locked lower desk drawer, a heavy stash of $180,000 in cold cash, alongside a prepaid international burner phone showing a recent call log to an encrypted number registered in Grand Cayman simultaneously. At Location 2, Farrell's sprawling luxury estate in Coral Gables, federal agents surrounded the perimeter. Court documents describe a chillingly calm scene. Farrell met agents at the door wearing a tailored suit jacket, as if he had been awake and waiting for the hammer to fall. He refused to speak, uttering only his name and demanding his attorney. An exhaustive sweep of the estate yielded an advanced home office server, 4 encrypted cell phones, and a hidden wall safe. Inside the safe, investigators uncovered the paper trail for millions in offshore accounts and 2 foreign passports. One, a standard U.S. passport, the other a completely falsified identity registered to a Central American nation, signaling a desperate, pre-planned escape route that had been cut off by minutes. The most critical digital battlefront was unfolding at Location 3, Sylvia Orent's Meridian Care Systems office in Boca Raton. When agents breached the facility at 9:31 p.m., they found Orent seated at her primary workstation. On her screens, a highly sophisticated data deletion sequence was aggressively wiping the central servers. It had been initiated exactly 11 minutes prior to the breach, indicating Orent had received a frantic, high-level advance warning. FBI cyber specialists shoved her away from the terminal and immediately executed an emergency suspension protocol to halt the wipe. Their rapid intervention saved the case. Approximately 74% of the server's contents were recovered completely intact, capturing the core database of the entire $1.4 billion architecture. Meanwhile, at Location 4, a massive, nondescript commercial warehouse in Hialeah used by Vidian's central pharmacy contractor, the DEA led a high-stakes tactical entry. Cutting through a reinforced, temperature-controlled medication vault, agents exposed a secondary, unlisted storage room entirely missing from the facility's official pharmacy license. Inside, DEA forensic teams struck a massive cache of black market inventory. Thousands of units of highly regulated opioid medications and benzodiazepines, pre-sorted, packaged, and labeled for illicit distribution outside normal medical channels. Simultaneously, teams at locations 5 through 9, a series of shell company addresses and private residences of regional managers, captured the remaining operational leadership, completely paralyzing the network before a single suspect could flee. By 2 a.m., the complete structural collapse of the Vidian enterprise was total. A staggering 41 individuals were in federal custody, processed into holding cells across South Florida. The roster of the arrested read like a corporate org chart hijacked by an organized crime syndicate. CEO Douglas Farrell, technical architect Sylvia Orant, 8 regional and facility managers, 14 shell company directors acting as financial intermediaries, 6 pharmacy contractors running the black market narcotics pipeline, 9 street-level distributors, and 4 bank compliance officers who had looked the other way, processing massive incoming federal deposits without ever filing mandatory suspicious activity reports. The financial freeze was instantaneous. Domestic assets totaling $290 million were seized on the spot. Through emergency international legal proceedings, an additional $440 million sitting in highly secretive offshore accounts was flagged and frozen. All 11 Vidian facilities were stripped of their Medicare billing privileges and immediately placed under federal receivership to protect the actual patients inside, when investigators fully extracted the data from Orant's recovered servers. The true scale of what was internally cataloged as the Suncoast Ledger came into sharp, horrifying focus. This was an enterprise operating with the cold efficiency of a Fortune 500 company. Over 7 years, it produced 6,814 fraudulent billing submissions, siphoning $1.4 billion directly from taxpayers. But for the veteran investigators who processed the evidence, the detail that stayed with them, the detail that truly exposed the black heart of this network, was not the staggering mountain of cash. It was the scale of the absolute, systemic indifference. Consider the paper trail for Margaret Holloway. On the very morning that Nurse Patricia Weldon blew the whistle, the automated system had logged a physical therapy appointment for Holloway at 7 a.m. But public records tell a devastating story. Margaret Holloway had died in a hospice facility in Clearwater, Florida, a full 14 months before that appointment was ever scheduled. Her family had mourned her. Her death certificate had been filed. Her Social Security benefits had been legally and properly terminated by the government. Yet inside Vidian's corrupted architecture, she was never allowed to rest. To Farrell and Orant, she was still an active resident, still generating a massive monthly Medicare claim, and still showing up on a digital care log attached to a dark, empty room. That was the entire predatory mechanism. A stolen name, a valid Medicare number, an executive authorization code, and a submission formatted to slide perfectly past automated government reviews. Multiplying a dead woman's identity 312 times over across 11 facilities for 7 years. The immediate fallout from these arrests has sent shockwaves through the entire American healthcare sector. Within 48 hours of the pre-dawn raids, Florida's Agency for Healthcare Administration announced an unprecedented emergency statewide audit targeting every single Medicare-certified long-term care facility in the state. A massive review expected to take at least 18 months. The sobering reality tonight is terrifyingly clear. If a highly organized fraud and narcotics diversion network of this magnitude could operate completely unchecked for 7 years inside 11 licensed nursing homes, facilities explicitly trusted by thousands of families to care for their most vulnerable loved ones, it exposes a systemic vulnerability that goes far beyond a single corrupt CEO. The federal government has exposed the architecture of Vidian Senior Care Solutions, but a haunting question now hangs over every senior care facility in the nation. If you believe corporate corruption like this must be dragged into the light, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and comment EXPOSE D below. As the statewide audit begins, we are left to wonder, how many other empty rooms have an active care log pinned to the door tonight?